This is On the Lime. I am Kayla.
And I'm Will.
And this is a new podcast from Sublime Media Group in the beautiful Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah, this is episode 0, what you're listening to right now. And actually, we are sitting down with John and Austin, our bosses, but more our friends.
Mm-hmm. That's so sweet, Will.
It is. It is true, though.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Doing really good.
We thought for this first episode, we'd kind of talk to you guys about what we are wanting to accomplish with this and how we're going to be going forward, give people an idea of what to expect from this podcast and a little bit of the schedule, all that fun stuff. As people have probably been seeing lately, we have the Hey You Rollin' stuff you've been doing.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good series that we're really happy with so far. The goal with that is just, quick marketing tips for social media. We've had, so far we've been just kind of talking to different people around the office, but we hope to branch that out and bring in some different people from the community, partners, different things like that, just to share knowledge and different things that people might not think about, with their marketing efforts on social. So
I love it because you don't see a lot of marketing teams giving away tips for free, but they're just kind of common sense things that anybody needs to know, and it just benefits people to have that knowledge.
Yeah, we've really tried to keep them pretty simple things like captioning videos, or in one of the episodes, Kayla, you talk about Facebook Creator Studio, and then we've really enjoyed producing those so far. We have a lot of ideas for future episodes, and we're excited about that.
And up to this point, we've been releasing them on a weekly basis. But going forward, we're going to kind of do a mix here with On the Lime and Hey You Rollin', where we're going to have an alternating schedule. So one week you'll get a new episode of Hey You Rollin', and then the next week you'll get an episode of On the Lime, which is kind of part of our 2020 plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we produce a lot of content for so many great partners all over the country, and we wanted to make it a goal for 2020 to actually create some stuff from us that we could put out each week and just share our knowledge with people and help people grow in their marketing, and at the same time just have some fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited about On the Line because it allows us to take that deeper dive into, the history of marketers in our community, or finding out what strategies work or don't work for them, something that you maybe wouldn't get in a short traditional social media post.
Yeah, I mean, that's what is fun. We're going to talk to a lot of local business owners who've kind of done stuff by themselves from the start, talk to some local personalities, and people who handle marketing for some of the businesses in our area as well that we've worked with. So not only are you going to get a little bit of their backstory and how they got involved in what they do, but maybe some tips that you can use going forward in your marketing endeavors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you got to say, John?
I'm just here listening to you guys. It's fun to be part of this company in some small way.
Yeah, you're
smarty pants.
Just a microscopic part of this company, right?
So what we're doing is, since we are trying to keep these a little bit of a shorter format when we're doing these, because we know your time is valuable and we appreciate your time with us. But one thing just to kind of get people an idea of who we're talking to that day is just, we call it the 3 I statements. For instance, mine is I am an unashamed fan of all things pop culture. I love a good conversation, and I once sold a bike to Judge Judy. So they're just fun little things.
I know that this is like giving the example. Like, here's the example, but I've never heard the Judge Judy story. So can we take like a quick side adventure?
And I hope she used the word guilty in there somewhere.
She didn't, but she did tell me, "Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining," which is one of her big lines.
Wow.
So yeah, so I got that. No, my parents owned a bicycle shop in Naples, which is actually where her and her husband, who at the time was the host of the People's Court as well,
Wow.
they lived there, and they used to eat at the restaurant next to my parents' bicycle shop all the time, called Lulubee's. Not a sponsor. And anyway, one time they came in afterwards.
But they could be. Lulubee's.
They could be, yeah. Lulubee's, hit us
talk.
up. Naples, Florida, if they're still around. I don't know. So she would come in every now and or go to Lulubee's, and then one day she just decided she wanted to come in. And the way she delivered the line to me about the "don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining" is because in Florida, there's a lot of saltwater corrosion on parts and stuff like that, and that's a big problem with bicycles, cars, everything.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was like, I had learned the sales pitch of these bicycles from listening to my mom all the time. And one of the things she always touted was like aluminum frame, aluminum wheels, aluminum this, so you won't have to worry about rust. I said that, and she said, now don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. I don't know what the correlation was there, but I made the sale. So that's the story there.
Florida in the 90s, am I right?
It was in the 90s. In the 90s, I would have been 5. Like, I'm not selling a bicycle to Judge Judith Shineland as a 5-year-old.
I don't know. I thought maybe your parents started you at a young age, you know.
Well, they did. I've been in I think that's part of the story there is why I think it's an important I statement is because I grew up in a retail environment. So like, I think like listening to my mom answer the phone all the time and having to answer the phone and having to kind of step in sometimes like when I was like 11 or 12, you know, it kind of defines me a little bit. So there you go. So what's your I statements, Kayla?
Oh man. So my I statements, number 1, I love Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. I didn't play it until I was well into my 20s, but it has since changed my life.
Do you have a 20-sided die on you right now?
No, but I have so many at home. Okay. I'm surprised that I don't. Like, what if I just pulled one out? Yeah, it's right here.
That would have been
keep
amazing.
One in my shoe. No, but it really, like, it's changed my life. It's helped me, like, remember, I have an imagination and I can use it. Yeah. And so it's really sparked my creativity.
That's awesome.
Helped me deal with some stuff personally. So it's a very important part of my life, which may sound lame and cheesy, but I don't know. These days, everybody's playing D&D. So if you haven't played it, you should play it.
You need to get a party going here
Our
soon.
second podcast is going to be a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. Tune in. So tune in on the, I don't know what we would call it. But anyway, number 2 is that I express my love for people, my appreciation for people through food. So I love to prepare a good meal for my friends. Love
I like
to have
hearing that.
Yeah, I'll never turn that down.
Love to make cookies. That's really the only thing I can bake.
Yeah, I think we learned that last week. How good cookies are when you bought some.
They're pretty good, but I'm not a good baker otherwise.
I've eaten like 500 cookies this week.
Yeah, this time of year is awful. There's no chance.
It's Cookie
awful,
City.
It's
I think all the cookies in Bowling Green are over here on this table.
Yeah, I know.
And my third is that I love anything spooky. So I was going to say true crime, but it's not just true crime. Like, I like to learn, like, I'm a true crime podcast addict, but also love horror movies. Halloween's my favorite holiday.
Well, you and your husband Matt do the same thing that I do at the hall, like during October, is like a horror movie a day, right?
Yes, we watch a horror movie every day.
I know we were comparing
go all
lists.
out. Our wedding
used to do that.
It was Halloween themed. So like that's a big part of who I am. I love the spoopies.
So that gives you some examples of what we're looking for in these I statements. What do you guys got, Austin?
Well, I think my first one would be I love my wife and daughter very much. I'm a family guy, and
nice.
Huge part of my life. Everything I do, I definitely do for them. And second, I consume a ridiculous amount of content, from movies to blogs to podcasts to you name it. If I have free time, that's generally what I'm doing. I found that that's the one way, like, my mind kind of goes all over the place. It's a very, I think about a lot of different things, and that's one way I can kind of just...
Harness it?
Yeah, harness it and focus on something and learn and grow as a professional and a person.
And you consume media even when you work, right?
Oh, yeah,
like, I mean, sure. I know in sharing offices with you in the past, I mean, there's always something on TV or something you're listening to, which... A lot of creatives do that, but I know you especially.
That's when I design. I love to listen to music or throw up like an episode of The Office or something that I've seen. I just kind of listen to it, but I do like to have something going on while I'm creating. I don't know why, but it just kind of helps me relax and focus. And I would say my last one is that I really love what I do for a living. I think that stems from I have this just urge constantly to create stuff, and it used to be more focused on music as I was growing up, played different bands and things, and I guess the older I got, I realized, well, all I've really ever done is spend money on this. And so when it was time to get a job, I learned Adobe After Effects and Premiere and kind of realized that I really liked producing video content where I got my start. That's what I ended up majoring in. And so now I get to do something I absolutely love for a living. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's cliche, but, you know, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Seriously.
Kind of
I mean, I work really long hours sometimes. So I do work days, and I know that, and I feel it sometimes. But I do, at the end of the day, really love what I'm doing and who I'm going to do it with. So.
That's awesome. John, I know we're kind of putting you on the spot here, but what are your 3 I statements?
Well, first, straight from my bio is I jumped out of an airplane once.
So I don't know that I've ever actually heard that story and how that led up to that.
I
know that
definitely
Austin kind of, there's like a back and forth in your bios on the website, but we won't get into. But how did that even happen?
I just wanted to do it for the longest time, and I didn't want to do it alone. I mean, I had to do it alone with the tandem jumper I jumped with or whatever, but like I wanted somebody to go with me, and for the longest time I had my dad talked into it, and then he kind of chickened out. Sorry, Dad. And then and then I got a whole group of friends. I ended up getting like 5 or 6 people to go with me.
Wow.
And I was like a nervous wreck the whole day, even though I really wanted to do it. But it was the single most thrilling thing I've ever done. Like, it was just such an adrenaline rush.
That's awesome. I don't think I could do it, honestly.
I would do it again.
I wouldn't do it.
I would do it again in a second. But my wife says no since we've had kids.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
She thinks the risk is too great.
Can't live that Point Break lifestyle anymore, you know?
Number 2, I love movies. I've always loved movies. It's why I do what I do. I've always loved movies, but I didn't really pay attention to the way things are filmed and the way things look aesthetically in a movie until The Ring, which is a horror movie, which is a weird one maybe to start that on, but it's such a beautiful movie.
I think that it just got so overrated for a while. Like, everybody made jokes about The Ring in 7 days and whatever.
Besides how scary it was, the cinematography is
great.
Fantastic.
Like, when you go back and watch it now,
beautiful.
like, it's legitimately a really good film.
Yeah.
Share a love of horror movies too. Me and my wife used to do exactly what you guys do before we had kids again. We'd watch a horror movie every night on Halloween month. Number 3, I once spent an entire year learning crafting a Freddy glove.
Yes.
Oh, from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Which might freak a little people out, maybe.
No, I don't think it freaks anyone out. I mean, I think that
it freaked my dad out.
What freaked me out more was
Sorry,
the little
Dad.
hand model you guys had that you got to put the glove on.
Can we tell that story?
You tell that story.
So John and I worked together. We shared an office for 7 years, I guess, at a TV station. And he comes in one day and he's like, "Oh man, I ordered this hand for my Freddy glove, and it's way too small." And it was like this tiny. I guess
it's like a cast iron hand.
It looked like a doll's hand,
yeah,
like
it's
a little
made
baby
for
doll's
jewelry.
hand.
So we had this like random glass container
that Fox had sent.
First of all, it did not fit the glove
No,
at all.
it did not.
Just
Right.
It's
too small.
But we had this glass container. I think a raven came in it
for Poe, that show or whatever it was.
So I took the raven out and I stuck that little hand in the glass container and set it up in our office. And people would come in and be like, "What is that?"
So it was like a glass enclosure case.
Like it was like I was displaying.
It was very ornate too.
Yeah.
Like it was like this black base that had like really ornate metal on it, and it was the glass dome, and it had like a really neat handle on the top of it. Like, and it looked like something out of an Edgar Allan Poe novel. Like,
and it's the size of a toddler hand.
Yeah, I mean it is tiny.
That's creepy.
And it's like rusted brass looking too, or like something
cast iron.
Yeah.
So I would make up stories when people would come in and say, "What is that?" I would just make up something and see if they'd believe me or not. And my favorite one was, and I told this one a few times, but and I could keep a straight face by the end for sure. But I said, John likes going to France, and so one time he bought a replica hand of Napoleon,
and it's life size.
And they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's how small his hand was!" Like, and I was like, "Yeah, for real, isn't that crazy?" And so
I used to hear you tell that story from the other room, and I never knew what that glove was, and I would be like, why did John buy that hand for that reason? And I feel like I heard you say that 4 or 5 times, and then 4 or 5, and then one time, I finally asked you, and you just kind of busted out. And you're like, "No, that is not what happened at all." But I think sadly that didn't make its way over to this office. It's still
we left it.
I bet it's still there in a closet. I could
probably buried
we
away
need to
somewhere.
get that and bring it back.
Somebody
here.
needs to grab that.
Yeah, we need to go on a covert mission.
Gosh.
And
I don't know how you
there.
could keep a straight face through that.
And it was mine.
Well, if if you tell the same story over and over, it gets easier.
Yeah, it gets
but
easier.
usually people, they were so like interested in it. I would just try to be as interested as they were. Like, yeah, isn't that, and then
Sometimes it was like kids too, because like
Oh, yeah.
David would bring those tours through of people, and like,
So you're basically just saying I'm an awful person. That's what you're.
You're just a straight up liar.
oh man,
I
But
don't
some
lie on
people
the
are
rag.
really, I mean, myself included, very gullible. I believed for years that Don't Fear the Reaper, the song by Blue Oyster Cult, was about the Manson murders.
Oh.
My brother told me that. He was like, oh,
man.
yeah, did you know that's about the Manson murders? And I believed it and told other people that.
Oh, no.
And then he heard me overtelling someone one day and was like, no way. I was just totally messing with you.
Yeah, see, I like pranking people, but I'll never forget my uncle. He worked at he was like head of housing for Lindsey Wilson College in Columbia, and we were driving through campus one day, and there was a water tower, and I didn't know what it was. I was little, and I said, well, what is that? And he goes, oh, that's where they keep all the potatoes for the lunchroom. And so I believed that for years. And I would tell people that. And they were just like, that's not just a water tower, but like, seriously
the
thought
potatoes.
that. Yeah, it's
They go through some potatoes.
There's a lot of potatoes. I guess they just eat a ton of them on this campus. So.
Yeah. John, I think that it's cool that you made the Freddy hand.
Well, thanks.
Like, I think it's amazing. I admire, like, I watch a lot of cosplay YouTube channels, like people who craft, outfits for any character.
Right.
And I know that it takes like a lot of time and effort and dedication. So I don't think it's weird at all.
The best is when you brought it into the studio to show the guy who played Jason Voorhees, and he was like, I didn't play Freddy, I played Jason.
Well, I wanted a picture of Freddy versus Jason. He just
Didn't
wasn't
get
having
it. Didn't get
Aw.
I did fly 2,000 miles to meet Robert Englund, and he wore the glove, and we took a picture together.
And
it's signed by Robert
And
Englund
it's signed
now,
Yeah,
by
that's
him.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
Well, that just kind of gives you an idea of the way we're going to do that I statement round, and I think it's kind of a fun way to get to know people, sparks a little conversation. But I mean, what you can expect from this podcast is definitely going to be more than that. We're going to be talking to people from around the community who have worked in marketing either with us or, just started their own businesses or handle marketing for their companies, just to give you some tips on the best way to promote your brand, whether it's yourself or your business.
Yeah, the way that I've been putting it to the guests that I've been pitching the podcast to is that it's a podcast about marketing, media, and success in the digital age, because that's kind of all across the board. YouTubers, marketers, graphic designers, everybody plays a part of the marketing puzzle.
Yeah.
And we'll get to talk to everybody and get some little nuggets of knowledge.
For sure.
Yeah, actually, Will and I attended Content Marketing World this year, and podcasts were a huge topic, and so we talked about it all week, and Will was really excited to want to kind of run with this project, and it was something John and I thought would be really good, and so then when Kayla joined the team, we were like, oh, they would be the perfect combo. So we're really excited, for Sublime to be putting this out and for you guys to be spearheading it. We're excited about the guests that are coming up. We've got a really cool lineup, at least the first few that I've seen that you guys are bringing on. Like it's good variety, just different, just a great variety of industry professionals that have great stories and a lot of different tips to share with people. So
yeah, we're really excited, and like we said before, you can expect these coming to you every 2 weeks. They'll be on a rotator with new episodes of Hey You Rollin', which will be on our Facebook. You can keep up with Sublime Media Group on Facebook at facebook.com/Sublime Media Group, and also Instagram at Sublime Media Group, and on Twitter at Sublime_BG. All right, well, this has been fun. This has been episode 0. We really appreciate you guys sitting down with us, and you can look forward to episode 1 coming out on January 7th. So that's this next Tuesday coming.
Yeah, we actually sat down with Nintendrew, also known as Andrew or Drew. He is a YouTube personality who has 250,000
That's
subscribers, which is crazy.
Mind-blowing. I can't even think of
can't
it.
wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Really good interview with him. Had some really good tips about having your own YouTube channel, and how he found success with YouTube by kind of finding his niche and how to fit in with that. So really interesting stuff coming up next week on episode 1 of On the Line.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Bye.